like this: n times s plus m times t ab. Now you look at this equation. LCM times GCD is equal to ns plus mt times ab, where n, m, s, t, these are all integers. But the point here is that a and b are positive. LCM and GCD by definition are positive. So this should be a positive integer, since a, b, LCM of AB and GCD of A and B are all positive integers. NS plus MT should also be a positive integer, and hence NS plus MT should be greater than or equal to 1. Okay, positive integer means this is the smallest positive integer, so it should be greater than or equal to 1. This implies now if this factor is greater than or equal to 1, that means you can multiply this inequality on both sides by AB, and that you can do because A and B are positive and hence AB is positive. So this implies, let me write it here, LCM of A and B times GCD of A and B is before using this inequality we should have done one more thing. Okay, I have to rub it off. Sorry about this. Which implies I could have worked with that one also, but anyway, which implies LCM of A comma B is equal to NS plus MT times AB divided by GCD of A and B. We have been able to divide both sides by GCD of A and B because this is by definition a positive integer. That means it's non-zero. That much we need. Since AB, LCM of AB and these are positive integers, NS plus MT is also a positive integer, and so NS plus MT is greater than or equal to 1. This implies LCM of A comma B this is greater than or equal to AB divided by GCD of A comma B. Okay. So we have got this inequality. We are going to use it. But before we use it, we have to do something else. Now, since GCD of A and B divides both A and B, and GCD of A and B divides B, this is a positive integer that is divisible by both A and B. I need some U. Okay, so now look at this. Because GCD divides A and GCD divides B, we are saying that this is a positive integer that is divisible by both A and B. First of all, why is this fraction a positive integer? Because, for example, you can divide A by GCD of A and B, and that will be a positive integer. You multiply that with the positive integer B, so the result is a positive integer. So this after all is a positive integer, but at the same time it's not just any positive integer, this itself is divisible by both A and B. Why? You see, if you consider this as a product of A and B divided by GCD of A and B, B divided by GCD of A and B is itself a positive integer because GCD divides B. So that means this product is a positive integral multiple of A. That means A divides this product. Just like that, because GCD divides A, so you can consider this product also like A divided by GCD times B. That A divided by GCD itself is a positive integer. So this is a multiple of B too. B also divides this. That means this is a common multiple of A and B. That is, this is a positive common multiple of A and B. LCM is the least among all the positive common multiples. So, by the definition of LCM of A and B, we have this is any common multiple, this is the least one, that's why this inequality. Now you look at these two inequalities, from these two inequalities we get equality, hence LCM of A and B is actually equal to AB divided by GCD of A and B, or and this completes the solution. Okay. Exercise 6. Suppose that A and B are integers that divide the integer C. If A and B are relatively prime and okay, so if A and B are relatively prime, then show that AB divides C. Show by an example that if A and B are not relatively prime, then AB need not divide C. Okay. In this type of theoretical proofs, although these have been presented as exercises, I am again saying these are results from number theory. In these theoretical proofs, you will see that in most of them we have to start with that condition that GCD is a linear combination of the given integers. So that is the main thing because of which everything is happening. Here also we start like that. Since A and B are relatively prime. The definition of relative primality is two integers are said to be relatively prime when their GCD is 1. So we will have 1 equal to SA plus TB for some integers S and T. Okay. we have to prove that AB divides C. Since, so what are we given? Apart from the fact that A and B are relatively prime, we are also given that A and B both divide C. Since A divides C and B divides C, we have C equal to MA equal to NB for some integers M and N. Now you multiply this on both sides of this equation by C, just like how we multiplied that equation by LCM, similar thing. Now C is equal to CSA plus CTB. In the first term, we will replace C by NB, NBSA. In the second term, we will replace by C by MA, MATB. So again here AB can be taken common out, NS plus MT AB, because S, T, N, M, these are integers, so this NS plus MT is an integer. Since NS plus MT is an integer, we have the fact that AB divides C, and that's what we had to show that AB divides C. Okay, so that means if C has two divisors A and B which are relatively prime, then their product also divides C. Now we have to provide an example of two integers A and B that are not relatively prime and which divide some integer C, but their product does not divide C. To see that, the integers four and 6 are not relatively prime. Because they have a common divisor 2 greater than 1. So that their greatest common divisor is not 1. We have a common divisor greater than 1, so the greatest common divisor will be greater than or equal to that common divisor. So it cannot be 1. So these are not relatively prime. Note that four divides 12 and 6 also divides 12, but 4 times 6 does not divide 12, because this is 24 does not divide 12, it's greater than 12. So this result fails if we don't have relative primality. Exercise 7. If A and B are integers, and n is a positive integer. prove that A mod n is equal to B mod n if and only if n divides A minus B. It means that if we divide the integers A and B by n, we will get remainders. Those remainders are equal if and only if n divides A minus B. Okay, so first assume A mod n is equal to B mod n. That means the remainders are equal. By the division algorithm, in some texts this same algorithm is called the Euclidean algorithm, but here its name is the division algorithm. Here Euclidean algorithm is that one which allows us to find the GCD by repeated application of the division algorithm. You know what I am talking about. We have already seen that before in other videos. By the division algorithm, there exists unique integers q1 and q2 such that we are going to divide A and B separately by n, and in those divisions q1 and q2 are the quotients. The remainders, however, are this by definition, by their very definition, such that A is equal to q1 n plus A mod n, and B is equal to q2 n plus B mod n. Okay. Then A minus B is equal to q1 minus q2 times n plus A mod n minus B mod n, but that will be equal to 0 because of our assumption. In fact, let's just show that A mod n minus B mod n, so this will be equal to q1 minus q2 mod n. This proves that n divides A minus B. Now we have to prove the converse. Conversely, assume that n divides A minus B. Again, by the division algorithm, there exist unique integers q1, q2, r1, r2 such that A is equal to, we have again taken care, let us take q3 and q4. We could have taken Q1 and Q2, it does not matter because this part of the proof is over, but still for the sake of more clarity we choose to take Q3 and Q4. Q3n plus R1, where R1 is the remainder, so it will satisfy these inequalities. Just like that, B is equal to Q4n plus R2, where R2 satisfies these inequalities. Okay, now what happens? Now R1 minus R2, if we think of that from this equation, R1 is A minus Q3n minus R2 is B minus Q4n. So this will be equal to A minus B plus Q4 minus Q3 times n. Now from our assumption n divides A minus B and n already divides the second term, so n has to divide R1 minus R2. Okay, since n divides A minus B and n divides Q4 minus Q3 times n, we have n dividing R1 minus R2. Okay. Oh, we could have done one more thing to make the arguments easier. We could have chosen without loss of generality that R1 is greater than or equal to R2. Okay, without it also we can sort of work it out. Or let's just insert that here. Okay, no need to make it unnecessarily complicated. Before this line starts, before now R1 minus R2 etc., we write here, we assume without loss of generality that R1 is greater than or equal to R2. Okay. Now 0 is less than or equal to R1 minus R2, that is coming from this inequality, and R1 minus R2 is itself less than or equal to R1. Why? Because here we have subtracted a non-negative integer R2, where is it, from R1. So the value, if R2 is 0, this difference will stay R1 or it will decrease if the value is non-zero, because we are then R2 is positive, so we are subtracting a positive from something, so we are reducing its size, and this is less than n. So we see that the integer R1 minus R2 is a non-negative integer, but that is strictly less than n. At the same time, it is divisible by n. Now what are the non-negative multiples of n? 0, n, 2n, 3n, etc. And this integer r1 minus r2 is residing here, where r1 minus r2 may be equal to 0, but it is greater than or equal to 0 and strictly less than n. It can never be equal to n. So the only possibility of having a multiple of n in this region is this one. It has to be equal to 0. So that's why we must have r1 minus r2 equal to 0, or a mod n. This is the remainder when we divide a by n, that is r1. This is equal to r2, and r2 is b mod n. The remainder we obtain when we divide b by n. So that's how we have a mod n equal to b mod n. Exercise 8. Let D denote the GCD of two non-zero integers a and b. So we know that the GCD divides both a and b, common divisor after all. If a is equal to d times a prime and b is equal to d times b prime. A and b are both divisible by d, so there will be integers a prime and b prime for which these two equations are true. So if these are true, show that GCD of a prime and b prime is equal to 1. A way of interpreting this result is that if you remove the greatest common divisor from two numbers, then they don't have anything common more in between them, the resulting numbers, except 1. So that way you can interpret this result. That helps us remember it. Oh, I was writing proof, solution. Okay. Here again we are going to start with the condition that GCD is a linear combination. We know that D is equal to SA plus TB for some integers S and T. It helps to use the same notations again and again. When something is this useful, that it's being used again and again, then it helps to use the same notation, because it helps us remember the thing more and solidifies it more in our mind. Okay, so for some integers S and T, then D is equal to, here we are going to use this expression. In place of A we are going to write D A prime, and in place of B we are going to write D B prime. Now D by definition, since it's a GCD, it's a positive integer. Since D is not equal to 0, we can cancel D from both sides. We have 1 equal to, S A prime plus t b prime. Okay. Okay, now we are going to conclude from this equation that the GCD of A prime and B prime is equal to 1. Do you see how you can conclude that from this equation? You see, since if you go to the proof of this result, in the proof you will see that the proof starts by considering all the integers that look like this, where s and t are integers. Considering this set, then using the fact that A and B are both non-zero, it is proved that this set contains at least one positive integer. Okay, that means the intersection of this set with the set of all positive integers is a non-empty subset of the set of positive integers, and hence by the well ordering principle should